This is the Lamborghini Jarama. It's blue, it's Italian, it's beautiful, and it hates me. It's got a 12-cylinder engine, 6 carbs, 24 valves, and enough wiring to legally qualify as a fire hazard. I started this project with the goal of making it run better, but like most relationships with Italians, it escalated quickly. To remove the heads, you need patience, precision, and absolutely no emotional attachment to your knuckles. I removed fuel lines, coolant hoses, ignition, linkages, basically everything but my will to live. They say the Jarama V12 is a jewel of engineering, Bizzarini designed and hand-built. Mine feels like it was hand-built by Bizzarini's angry apprentice. Hey, but I'm committed, because no matter how bad it gets, the sound of this thing running right will be worth it. So are you ready? Let's fix it. All right, so I'm back on the Jarama today. It's been a few weeks since I've been working on this Lamborghini engine. Part of the reason is because we're waiting for payment, and the other part is because it's intimidating, man. I mean, this engine is very large. I'm looking at it right here. This engine's very large, and but I just finished taking down a V8 928, so I'm getting a little bit more confident. But then now we're dealing with an engine that was built in the early 1970s, and the casting technology that they used on these engines is not great. You saw what happened to the intake runner here. One of the eyelets here broke off, and then we looked at it, and it's pot metal. And pot metal doesn't weld very well, so you can't really repair it. So we're gonna have to replace that. But so, in other words, I have to be extra careful when separating the heads from this block. I don't know what to expect. I don't anticipate too much trouble. I just gotta be a little more extra careful. And we don't have a stand to put that on. So I'm gonna use my Old Faithful. My loyal subscribers will recognize this one. I use it for my flat 6 projects because it's perfect for the oil pan on the non-Metzger engines. It sits perfectly right there. And I anticipate the same success with this because look, it's flat. So we're gonna get that on there. I'm gonna lift it up in the air. I've got my R2-D2 unit to hold the transmission, so that's certainly gonna help. And we can separate this bad boy and get to working. You ready? Let's do it. This Bizzarini designed Lamborghini V12 was born in the 1960s, and it powered legends like the Miura and the Countach. And also the Jarama for reasons no one fully understands. It's beautiful, loud, and complex enough to be Italian royalty. It revs like a race car, leaks like a Harley, and was built back when service manuals were more like suggestions. Working on one is part art, part archaeology, but when it runs, it sings in Italian. Carefulness is key here. So you just kind of want to walk it off, right? This thing is almost older than me. It's 2 years younger than my old ass. So I need to remember that when I'm prying on stuff, you know? There. See? Just take your time, man. But you know, that comes with age too, I think. The younger you are, you tend to be a little more impatient, but there you go. That's not a bad looking clutch. So that's good. Now we just got to realign that at some point, but not today. All right, that's separated, so I can get that out of the way and then put the ATV stand underneath that thing and see how it works out. Let's do it. Let's get this transmission. This transmission is going to get a nice cleaning as well. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have it dry cleaned by my good buddy over at Dry Ice Detailing Pros, Seth. You guys know him. You've seen him in my videos. I think this is a perfect candidate for that. What do you think? All right, let's see if this is going to work. I think so. I think it's going to work out real well. I think I'm definitely going to have to ratchet strap it in place because it may be a little too top heavy. Let's see. Look at that, dude. Now, whether or not this thing can get the engine up in the air, that's a different issue. But I think that's gonna work. Okay, let's take a look underneath. Not quite centered. Let's center it. Last thing you want is this thing to topple over. Right there. That looks pretty straight, huh? But yeah, it's top heavy. Let me see. There's a little bit of slack here. So what I want to do is lower the weight and just to assess whether or not it's balanced. And then I can wrap these straps around it and hold it firm on the stand. Gotta be careful. All right, bring it down a little bit. And there, look at that. All right. And now I'm just gonna keep it a little taut, just a little, so if it does topple, it won't go far. Because what it is I gotta make sure that this stand can handle the weight. You know what I mean? Looks kind of sus. There's a safety lock on this ATV stand, and that's where I need it to be. So I'm gonna keep this taut. There. That's what you hear. Then I should be able to just bring it down slowly onto the stand, onto the lock. And there. Okay, we're on it. And it's stable. All right, we're in business. Now we're gonna strap it in. Not too bad. I moved this right in this spot. I think this is gonna be my engine teardown section of my new shop. And I'll put some tools and a table right here so that I have a place to put all the parts that come off of this car, this engine. But you can see there's two big ass cylinder heads that gotta come off, man. But starting with the cam valve covers, we'll start with that. And I'll be loosening this strap every now and then to get the covers off and then retightening it down. But each time I peel something off, the weight obviously goes up, or the weight goes down, so that's good. And I'm gonna get this crank pulley off. Wait, I think I did already. Yeah, I did already. So we'll get the crank pulley off, oil pump, water pump, all of that off, but not until we get the heads off. I'm ready. You ready? Let's do it. I think I'm pretty close here. I'm gonna get this valve cover off right here. And I got all my little shiny bolts right there in the corner. I'm gonna have to loosen this strap. Not a big deal. And now I'm gonna use my plastic trim tools to kind of get this started. Cause again, we're dealing with pretty delicate stuff here, and there's a pry point right there. And just want to be careful in getting these off. Let me see. Yeah, so you gotta be careful. I don't want to break my tool in there. And I think what I'm gonna do is get this wedged in there and just kind of walk it. You know, I want to walk it from the center. I don't want to walk it from the edge. But if I get a little bit of stress there, I think I can do it. So now I'm removing the valve covers, which sounds simple until you realize Lamborghini gave you 0 pry points and used a gasket material that may have actually bonded with the block at the molecular level. I'm not saying it was welded shut, but I've seen hostage situations resolved faster. All right, I think I got this. Just got to be, you know, super careful. This is on pretty tight, so I want to take this off for now. There, okay. And I've just been using my plastic trim tools, as you saw, and a little bit of the metal pry bar just to motivate them, you see? Same thing here and here. All right, you're making me mad here, Strap. Hey! There we go. Not much to it, huh? For 12 cylinders? I wonder if there's a lot of back pressure because there's very little exhaust leaving this damn car. Yeah, these valve covers are held on with bolts that look like they belong on a carb linkage, not an engine with 12 cylinders. The torque spec, just under 9 Newton meters, barely finger tight, really, which is probably why they leak. That or the gasket's been heat cycled since the Nixon administration. These covers are classic cast aluminum, ribbed for aesthetics and maybe cooling, but mostly just to collect grime in neat little rows. No pry points either, so separating them was less removal and more negotiation. I know that Bizzarini designed this engine to scream at 8,000 RPM. He just didn't design it to be opened again, ever. There she is. And you can see some of the milkshake action going on there. No bueno. So I'm sure the good news here is that it didn't hydrolock because of the coolant. I'm saying it looks like it did not, but you can still see that the coolant made it all the way into the head. All right, I got both intake covers off. Now it's just wash, rinse, and repeat. Same thing here. I just like to run my hands to make sure there's no accessory bolt or anything holding this on, right? So I didn't have much luck starting from the center. And I'm not sure if in the 70s they even took that into account because I don't feel any pry lips anywhere. Usually on cylinder heads and valve covers, there'll be a little stoop or a ledge. That's your pry point. Nothing. But I'm being extra careful. I'm using the plastic trim, getting it gapped, and just slowly scoring away the gasket on both the bottom and the top of this cover. And then pulling it, once I get this cover off on this end, and I can start pulling it straight off. It's not rocket surgery, but hey, it's getting there. So luckily for me, I'm not doing this blind. In other words, I am following a workshop manual, and that's this one right here. Except that I had to make this, and I had to find it, first of all, and it's all in Italian, and it's a hard copy. So I had to convert it to English via AI to get it to help me, so I could figure out the firing sequence and all of that. So I've done that. I've got cylinder 1 at top dead center, and to confirm that, you can see the markings right here. They line up, so that's good. So we've got the cylinder, or the piston in top dead center, strapped it down. So now what I can do is remove the front of this engine and get to the timing chain tensioners, loosen the timing chains up, and then I can pull the heads. All right. All right, now moving on to removing the oil and water pumps because the timing tensioners are buried behind them, naturally. First up is the water pump. It's less a part and more an abstract sculpture, held together with questionable gaskets and the threat of leaking.
Now moving on to the oil pump, which isn't just an oil pump, it's the gateway to the crankcase. Once it's off, you're staring directly into the bottom end of a V12, like you just opened a portal to mechanical hell. No cover plate, no gentle warning, just a hole. Because apparently that's how Lamborghini says you're in too deep now.
I mean, there's no flex. Oh. Hey.
That one little bolt.
One little bolt. Look at that. The belly of the engine. I don't think I've ever seen an opening that big for an oil pump. But dang, does that give you a view of everything inside there? Wow. So you're gonna see a few little chunky bits in there. That's from the coolant intermix. But the carrier looks really good. No issues here. No metal issues. This all looks really good. So now that that's off, I can get to these two little panels here and start loosening the tensioners, I think. Pretty sure there are tensioners right there. So I'm gonna take those off and see what I see. All right. Yes, 19 mil. Okay, well, let's get these off and see what we're doing here. I may need a special tool to get this off. There's this little threaded thing in here, which I know on some Mercedes you use that as a pull point. You thread in a special tool and it'll pull whatever this is out. But I don't know. Okay, here we go.
Let's see. If a 1972 53-year-old engine can beat a 54-year-old Yogi. And I may need to strap this bad boy down so that it doesn't come falling down on me. Or not. Hey, this is way easier than I thought.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
All right. Again, I'm just popping these loose. And these have been sitting in EV Blaster for some time. More leverage. There it goes. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you think these are really loose. Because I'm not. You saw me do the 928, man. You heard me grunting like freaking Martina Navratilova hitting a return serve. Grunting.
Great anticipation by Martina.
Yeah. These head bolts are fucking loose, dude. Like, check it out, look. The ones compared to the 928, where I was like, ah!
Yeah, they're cracking loose.
Yeah, they were cracking loose. Check this out.
There's no way.
No way, dude. So far, this is a suspect.
Well, yeah, if it's not tight, then
If
they're
it's not
elite.
tight, you're having major issues here.
But
Look at that.
that's crazy.
I
That's
mean,
hand tight.
That's hand tight, man. Let's try that again on this lower one. I got it all on camera. Check it out.
That's not tight.
That's not tight.
I wonder if they only did the first setting.
I need to be careful.
You can see it's already starting to leak. You can see the coolant coming out. I got my trays down. It's gonna be a disaster. I just know it. So I'm kind of prepared. I have a feeling that a lot of it's gonna come out right on top of me. All right. So I'm gonna set you up and we'll see if we can get a good shot of this stuff coming out. It's gonna be real milky and gross. So I'm wondering if this 1972 has pry points, unlike the Porsche. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, look at that. We don't need antifreeze in the oil again, so let me take that out of the equation. I will admit there was a whole lot more coolant on the 928, but this one here, just a matter of time before it catches up. There it goes. Huh, not too bad. It's like I got a wedge. Put a couple of wedges in it to keep it elevated, and then I can lift it from the center. Something tells me that thing is gonna be heavy. Stick this in here. There, okay. On the 928, just kind of rock it. Yeah, here it comes. There you go. Gasket. All right, I'm gonna have to chill for a second because I can't get that chain off.
Great success.
Watch your head, watch your head, watch your head. All right, cool, clear. There it goes. Let it down a little bit on your side. There we go. Okay. All right, so here we are. Bank number 1 done. I did get on top dead center. Check out these dome-shaped pistons, man. That's really cool. No smoking gun here, except, you know, just a little bit of corrosion. And if this is an aluminum block, they too are using the wrong antifreeze. Green bad. But no smoking gun on this side of the block. All right, so let's get this one done. I won't need to take the cams off at all because the sprocket came off no problem. Same exact thing, wash, rinse, repeat. Oh, and in case you're wondering what the gasket looks like, no smoking gun. This is kind of interesting here though, this buckling or buildup. I'm not sure about this. If you guys have any idea, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think, because that doesn't look right. But you can see some corrosion. And again, the corrosion could be caused by using the wrong freaking coolant. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. If you guys know, let me know. It's an odd one. All right, let's get this other head off and go home. This is a really stubborn cylinder head. And I thought it was funny for a bit, but now I'm really worried that it's stubborn because this head may be warped, like really warped. Like if I don't pull this head off straight on, it'll wedge itself. So I'm not sure what to think. So I've spent the last, I don't know, hour and a half struggling. Because you gotta be extra careful when you can't pry on the mating surfaces. So I'm using plastic trim tools, of course, and then prying anywhere I can find a spot that I can pry on the ends to try to get this thing to break free. I'm not having any luck. It just wants to rock, but doesn't want to come up. Man, I wish I could just put a freaking... wish I could put a freaking wedge in there and just pry it up, because then it'd come up. Okay, and here's the other side. You saw how difficult that was to get that out. No smoking gun on this head gasket either. But again, I think it's just a head gasket failure. But this one's pretty sus to being warped. It should not have been that difficult to get the head off. This guy was normal difficulty. This guy was ridiculous. 3 guys to help me and about 2 hours of work on my part to get that done. So it's off. All right, so I'll flip this over and take a look at it and have the guys look at it, but let's look at the mating surface now. Okay, so what we're trying to
ascertain is, where did the gasket fail? I think it failed right here with this buildup. And it's built up on the head gasket as well. If you look. Yeah, see? What is that? I mean, right there, you can feel it's raised. Could it be the deck was never flat to begin with? Who knows? Well, let's take a minute to appreciate this awesome Lamborghini V12, man. Look at that. Dome-shaped pistons, buku compression. This is awesome. This is the top end right here that I had to take apart. Why did I do this? I don't know. For the likes?
All right, I went ahead and flipped this head over before I end this video so I can show you what that channel was or is here. So here's where that channel buildup was, but take a note here that if the channel is clogged, right, then you're not getting coolant through the head. If you're not getting coolant through the head, then the head's gonna overheat. And that's my concern right now. I still think it may be just because the head was loose. For example, on bank 1, we saw in the video how I was able to loosen those head stud bolts with just 2 fingers, right? That shouldn't have happened. I don't know which head failed. There's just no way of knowing, I think, you know? But this is a concern. We're probably gonna, when we send this off to have it machined, we're probably gonna have to address this and make sure that it's cleaned out thoroughly. But if you have a buildup here, like I said, on every single head, let me pull a gasket again. Here's a gasket right here. Yeah, look at that. Each one of those lines up with that, right? So if that's the case, then how is the coolant gonna flow through the head, right? I mean, it can flow through these areas here, but these are here for a reason, right? It's to keep the whole head cool, not just one side of the head. And if you notice, this side is the exhaust side. So it gets even hotter on this side. So this is a concern, but I'm not an expert. We'll see. I'm just, you know, I don't think the valves hit the head or the piston, so we're good there. I don't know, but this is a great stopping point.
All right, that's gonna do it for this video. Long, drawn out cylinder head removal, but hey, it was on a 52-year-old Lamborghini engine, older than me, so it's gonna be a little stubborn. All right, well, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Yogi's Garage.